Odyssey. Thank you for joining me today. I am joined with a honored guest today, somebody who I've been waiting to have on the show for a long time. When I first started my endeavors, I wanted to have him on, and as I've grown on Substack, as I've made progress in all of these different avenues of content creation, I was able to make a connection with Mr. Juxtaposition1. And so he is with me today, and we're going to start what is hopefully a very interesting series that we're looking to do weekly at this point. But without further ado, I'm going to bring him up, Mr. Juxtaposition1, the man, the myth, the legend. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, Josh. Good to be here. Thanks for inviting me on your show, Urban Odyssey.
Thank you. So what we're planning on doing, honestly, is kind of just a...
In my case, I guess it began with the John F. Kennedy assassination when I was in kindergarten. So I'm 5 years old. And there was something that happened. So the kindergarten, you do a half a day. There's a morning kindergarten and afternoon. I guess I was in the afternoon kindergarten class.
Mm-hmm.
So in Dallas, Texas, at 12:30 p.m., John Kennedy had his right eyeball blown out with his brain going backward in a straight line, which will tell you where the shooter is, right? Just follow his brain to the hood of the limo and draw a line between his brain to where he was sitting upright, and then go forward 280 feet and you'll be at Main Street on the railroad trestle. And that would probably indicate that the person who pulled the trigger was kneeling with a tripod at that location, which I believe that's exactly what happened. And there were multiple shooters at that location, and two of them pulled the trigger. One shot out his voice box, but we didn't know any of that. But just so you know, it's 12:30 p.m. Dallas time. The president, I believe, was announced by Walter Cronkite as being dead at 1 o'clock New York time. So that's 11 a.m. California time. My mother had already dropped me off for kindergarten, and then she went home. And then she must have heard this on the radio, the assassination of Jack Kennedy. And then she drove back to pick me up as they canceled class, and all the kids were taken to the perimeter of the school to wait for their parents to come and pick them up, because class was canceled because the president was just assassinated. And I think I got picked up, pretty close to when, after she dropped me off. She dropped me off around noontime, and she was back by 1. So it'd been a couple hours since the president had died. And my mother was, controlled, but, a little bit hysterical in terms of, listening to the radio and, riveted to the story. And I just didn't understand what all the fuss was. I didn't, the adults took this very seriously when my father came home. And so then I just decided personally, something that's interesting to me, to see how the adults, my teacher, my mother, my father, were all concerned about the president being assassinated. And that's when it began. I was 5 years old. And it's never changed since. Said that there's peace rioters, and they threw bricks through windows on Adeline Avenue and Shattuck Avenue and Telegraph Avenues, which are all parallel. They're all parallel streets that have small businesses on them. And my friends immediately said, that's a bullshit story. That's ridiculous. That's a bald-faced lie. That's a bald-faced lie. Because you know what? My sister's not going to throw a brick through a window, and she doesn't know anyone at Cal Berkeley, and they're not peace rioters. No one is protesting for peace. They're protesting the conscription. They don't know where Vietnam is on a map. They don't know what a Viet Cong is. They don't know what a communist is. They just know that if they graduate from college and they don't have a job within 45 days, they must report to their draft board that's called the selection committee. Mm-hmm. And they have a 50% chance of being sent to Vietnam and being in the United States Army, unless they volunteer for the Coast Guard, or they volunteer for the Navy, or they volunteer for National Guard service or something. They've got to get a weapon because they're going to Vietnam. and people didn't want to go to a place that they didn't know anything about. It's not their fight. They're not
Mm-hmm.
upset about it. They don't understand. So then later, that stuck in my mind. And then later I had a bicycle racing friend who was a Berkeley policeman, and he told me that they had professional people that were contractors dressed as students. They threw the bricks through the window, and the windows were taped. The Berkeley police put masking tape up on those windows between 8 o'clock in the morning and noontime, and the windows were to be broken after 1 p.m. so that the Berkeley police had at least an extra hour of taping. They were all given rolls of masking tape to put an X in all the windows that were to be shattered by a professional person working for COINTELPRO, military intelligence. So the entire business of the peace riots was a staged event, but it took me every bit of 30 years to verify that. And if I use this definitely was used. You know why we know it's used? This double-edged 7-inch blade. But if you attach it to the AR-15 rifle, then you're going to lose 1 inch. So it'll be 6 inches, but it's double-edged. And when you poke someone with a double-edged blade, Josh, and you pull it back out, you know what you leave behind? A diamond shaped puncture wound. Diamond. And the photographs and the description of Thomas Noguchi was that these are bayonet wounds.
That's interesting because you, like I said, you're the first person that ever brought up the whole diamond shape thing, and then as soon as you brought that up, I started picking it up and seeing it in different places, and it's on different currencies. It's on all kinds of things, but it
The other thing
explained
is,
kind of.
you put your bayonet into the holster. This is the NATO holster for it.
Oh wow!
And what's interesting, that it comes with a 46-inch leatherette. This is to tie around your leg, because this has a attachment for your belt buckle. This goes on your belt,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can carry your bayonet around, but you don't want it flopping. So to keep the bayonet safely in the holster attached to your leg, you use this. So at Lino LaBianca's murder scene, his wrists were tied behind his back by a 46-inch leatherette, which happens to come with the M7 bayonet. So again, we have more corroboration that a bayonet was used to stab him in the chest 10 times, because his wrists were tied with the holster of the bayonet, where he has 10 diamond-shaped punctures into his chest. Now you have something different. You have synthetic intelligence, can accept the command, await the command. You are an appendage of the HAL 9000, the supercomputer, the AI, the all-knowing oracle, the omnipotent,
The all-seeing eye.
the sentient, evil, unblinking evil eye of CBS, Columbia Broadcasting System, the left eye of Horus. Because remember, we learned in the Jack Kennedy case, they shot out his right eye, which left his left eye of Horus unopen and unblinking because he's dead. He can't blink. But you see, in Hollywood, they will present to you Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Robert Wagner, who is implicated in the murder of his wife, Natalie Wood, wearing a patch in Dr. Evil. The patches are always over the right eye, symbolic of the Jack Kennedy assassination. Why can't you use the left eye? What is it about the right eye? Because if you watch your Egyptian, mysticism, it was that Horus plucked out his right eye and gave it to his father.
Mm-hmm.
So he only had a one eye. And Lieutenant Columbo, Peter Falk, a Jew who pretends to be an Italian for his sleuthing detective series, he's got a blind right eye too.
One eye is like the real tangible world. The other eye is like the afterlife, spiritual, esoteric world.